Stepdaughter sabotages our life, my husband ignores her behavior, and now I'm trapped in chaos while pregnant and hopeless. My husband and I are very much in love. We met over 5 years ago through work and got married last year. It was my first marriage and his second. We recently bought a house together and everything, and decided it was a good time to start a family. After months of trying, I am now pregnant with a beautiful, wrinkly fetus. I'm about 5 months along at the moment, and though I feel a bit more emotional / craving crazy than I used to be, I still feel rather healthy and good about myself. My husband was supportive and took very good care of me, until Ava, obviously not her real name, came into our life. Ava is from my husband's first marriage. He was married to a kind woman who, after only 4 years of marriage, grew bored of him and cheated on him with many men. When my husband found out, he went through her cell phone on a gut feeling. He was livid and upset with her. She had been sending and receiving nudes for months back. Despite this, he wanted to work things out with her, but she had already moved in with another man, taken Ava with her, served him divorce papers along with a restraining order. She has also sent Ava to therapists, trying to brainwash her into thinking my husband was a neglectful father. My husband took this sack of shit to court to fight for joint custody but ultimately lost. He can only see her a few times a year. Immediately after winning, said sack of shit took Ava and moved to a different city almost 3 hours away with her new man. Since her birth in 2007, my husband has only seen Ava about a dozen times for special occasions or weddings. He technically still has custody of her, but not at all primary, only on paper. We met when I was 20 and he was 30. He was still in the middle of divorce papers and was wrecked from having to pay alimony along with child support and not being able to get any closure on his marriage or access to his daughter. We became good friends and hung out often until about a year into the friendship we decided to move in together. I needed a roommate, and he needed a roommate because he could no longer support himself living alone. We fell for each other gradually until we were in love, and after his finances were straightened out he proposed to me and we were married last year as I'd said before. Now, long story short, Ava's rent-a-womb broke it off with yet another man. Word of mouth is, she met another man online who lives an entire state away and wanted to go live with him. She left Ava with her parents, Ava's maternal grandparents, who live in our city, but the maternal grandparents are old. They're old, weak, and though they like having their granddaughter around, they can't raise her. They can't help with homework or help her get ready for school. They don't drive. So one day Ava literally just showed up on our doorstep and we've had to readjust our whole lives for her. I've never had so much hatred for a 7-year-old in my life. I feel like shit. Ava is the rudest little girl I've ever seen. She has no manners and no consideration for anyone. She talks back to her father and gives him attitude. She only smiles and acts loving when she wants something, like new toys or clothes she wants. When she found out she was to get a younger sibling, I let her rub my belly. Instead she smacked me. She smacked my belly at random times when I walk past her and it makes me livid and drives me to tears. I tell her that it's unacceptable to hit anyone, especially her sibling, but she screams that I'm not her mom and I can't tell her what to do. Who's heard of that one before? I told my husband about her behavior and how she acts when he's not around. Deliberately makes messes that I have to clean, draws on my paintings and books with markers, won't eat my home-cooked food but demands pizza and ice cream, and instead of scolding and disciplining her, he placates her and gets her what she wants. His idea of scolding is don't do that again, okay? It's like he's gone from being a dependable family man to a flaccid doormat of a father. I want to send her back to her sack of shit mother. Maybe she'd be better off in foster care, but at this point I don't care anymore. Is there any way that I can deal with this in a practical way? I can't even keep my head straight. I don't like feeling toxic when I am about to be a mother. I've tried so hard to be a mother figure to this girl the best I can be, but this girl is beastly to me. I'm always walking by her with my hands around my belly in case she strikes me again. If this is how she is going to be, I don't want her to affect my unborn baby. She's already having a profound negative effect on my husband. I hate her stupid white trash mother for ripping her away from my husband, denying him access, and then dumping her on her parents and then onto us once she wanted some new out-of-state cock to ride. I know this girl is the consequence of her environment, it has to be. But I don't know what we can do at this point. I've never worked with behavioral children, and I've never dreamed that I'd be a wicked stepmother figure in the midst of being barefoot and pregnant. My question is, how the hell can I sort this family out without going absolutely mental? I feel like a prisoner in my own home and didn't sign up for this sort of dysfunctional nonsense. This is affecting my sanity, my marriage, and my family. Any input or solutions are welcome, please help. Update 1. Since I've started walking around with my hands casually on my belly when around Ava, she hasn't been hitting me as much as she used to. This morning over breakfast, in front of both my husband and me, Ava told me that I hope your baby dies. My husband had been asking her what she thinks we should name the baby. We came up with ways to try and include her in the pregnancy, and she said nothing. After my husband and I both took turns asking her, come on, you can think of a boy name and a girl name. She told me I hope your baby dies. I didn't say anything and let my husband discipline her. But as always, his idea of discipline is to say simply, you're a big girl, you shouldn't say those things. I asked him into the next room and asked that he be more firm with her, as she had been physically punching me in the belly and now it's looking like she'll be saying she hopes the baby dies. Thanks for all your responses. I've read through each one of them, and though I couldn't reply to your comments, I really appreciated the input. One poster actually mentioned that I might be jealous of Ava's existence because it's a reminder that I'm going through a first marriage and my first pregnancy with someone who's done it all before. And you know what, I'll admit, that does bother me a bit. Having Ava be so behavioral and difficult as she is isn't really helping my feelings, either. Though I will say, not many commenters in my ops said much about what to do about Ava hitting me on my 5-month pregnant belly. But I can say that I've never talked badly about Biomum in front of her. If I seem hostile towards her, it's probably because she acts so beastly to me no matter what I do for her, cook for her, pack her lunches, pick her up from camp, and even resorts to hitting me. That I cannot look past. Sorry if that makes me immature and selfish, but I don't want to surround myself with that kind of negativity even if it comes from a 7-year-old. I'm going to ask my husband, he's speaking to Ava right now, that I'll be going to live with my parents for a while, or if not, my sister. I want to finish the rest of my pregnancy in peace and without stress. The best thing for me right now is to protect the baby in my own belly. Ava is also behavioral towards her father, so I'll say that this time can be used for Ava and husband to bond. It would temporarily move me out of sight and maybe allow husband some one-to-one time with Ava. Maybe by the time I'm back in the family home with our new addition she'll cool off a bit and we can start therapy, as many of you have suggested. Update 2. I'm glad that we managed to get everything out during our very first session, as we have the remainder of the sessions to work towards resolving the marriage as well. A lot of my anger has gone away since I moved out. I'm writing this from my parents' home and I feel safe and relaxed. I've been taking some maternity yoga classes for my own peace, and I think I quite like it. Husband and I talk or text almost every day over the phone, and we plan to meet up or have me come by once or twice a week to our family home to do family activities as the therapist suggested. I know many of you suggested that I stay in the family home, but the peace that I feel now with Peanut, we nicknamed the little one, I wouldn't trade this experience away. I finally feel like I can indulge and experience my pregnancy to its fullest. Ava and I did have one last violent fallout before I moved out. I put my hands on Ava when she came in for another swing. This was right after the talk that my husband had with her about absolutely no hitting, so I quickly grabbed her wrist. No hitting, no spanking, just grabbed her wrists to restrain her. I told her that I would not tolerate being hit, reminded her of the no hitting rule, and asked that she please stop. She retaliated by swinging her leg up to kick me in the stomach. Think Gerard Butler's This Is Sparta kick scene. My God, the willpower it took for me not to slap her across the face was burning, but I managed to walk away, in tears, but still, managed to tell her what big trouble she was going to be in for hitting again, and came straight back with her dad in tow, who gave her a big stern lecture about it. This happened a day after the first child therapy session, so my husband and I were pretty relieved that we had got the ball rolling on that therapy, and he supports me 100% in my decision to move out until the end of my pregnancy. His issues are that he has no idea what to do with Ava, and is afraid that she will hate him if he is too hard on her. Remember that he was basically cut out of her life for almost her entire childhood until her biomum abandoned her. It was here that I told him that I was unhappy that he appeared to be bending over backwards for Ava while neglecting Peanut. I raised the issue of hard discipline and drawing rules, and the counselor will help us out in drawing up fair house rules. Some of them include, my husband and I both agreed that we would treat Ava fairly and discipline the same way, and that the same rules for Ava would also apply to our own child. I know we won't be applying similar rules to the baby in its toddlerhood, but we feel it's a good guide and it can show Ava the nature of house rules and that life requires some order and discipline, things that she's probably not used to having around. But we're starting that now. We haven't heard from Rent a Womb for weeks now, not even a single phone call to see how Ava is doing with the transition. We both agree that she is no longer welcome to intrude in our life. We will get some sort of ball rolling to claim for full custody now that she's proven herself to be an utterly incompetent human being. So here I am, resting with my Peanut and surrounded by my parents, sister, full of positive vibes. My husband and I are in marriage counseling, and Ava is in therapy. We plan to take some parenting courses at the local community center, and we will be bringing Ava with us, maybe being around other little girls and boys expecting siblings will be there, and maybe some of their enthusiasm and attitudes will rub off on her. We'll be encouraging her to make some friends. Perhaps some playdates are in order? 1. I originally came on this board, COP, to seek help in how I should deal with the Ava situation. Many commenters suggested therapy and that I should work together with my husband. It gave me a chance to reflect on how I was thinking, and I was able to process my state and emotions. This update is for those who asked for an update, and for all those who wanted to see how our family dealt with it in conclusion. I got the help and advice I needed, and chose to take the one that most resonated with me. 2. I'm moving out until the end of my pregnancy, with my husband's support and blessing. Make me feel bad or selfish all you want. As I said in my last post, I'm not sorry for the decision I made. I don't care about whether I'm letting Ava win. We've set ground rules and therapy for her, and now it's time to take care of me. You don't win anything against a 7-year-old child. When you have a 7-year-old violently punching and kicking your pregnant belly, then come and talk to me. I don't care if women in some countries have to lower and squat in a minefield to give birth to premature triplets. That's not the hand I was dealt, and I wish to have a stress-free pregnancy. 3. I know I've had feelings of I want to slap the shit out of Ava, but I will not be putting my hands on her. Yes, I was beat as a child, punitively and only within reason, but I will never be beating or hitting her. 4. Rent a womb seems pretty apt for a woman who gave birth to, and then proceeded to drag said child on a wagon tour around to fuck multiple men while keeping her away from her biodad, and abandoning her once it got inconvenient. I've used rent a womb since I've heard about and met this woman. She deserves no title of parent or mother. It's a nickname I call my husband's ex. Why can we call uninvolved dads sperm donors but not its female counterpart? Seems apartment 5. A lot of you have pinged me thanking me for my decision to move out. You also grew up in a blended family where you were abused by your step-siblings, and your bio parent was too afraid to discipline you and overlooked the abuse in lieu of hopes that it was just a rivalry phase that would go away. I knew there were other people who have gone through similar situations, and thank you for coming out of the woodworks. I appreciated those encouragements. Remember that blended families have very different dynamics than traditional families and that there's no real set-in-stone guideline. Best of luck to everyone in similar shoes. Update 3. It's been about 3 months since my last update, and I'm now in the final stretch of my pregnancy. Peanut is due in just a few weeks, and I've been enjoying the relative peace at my parents' house. The maternity yoga classes have been a lifesaver for my back pain, and I've even made a few mom friends who've been incredibly supportive. My husband and I have been sticking to our plan of regular visits and family activities. We've had our ups and downs, but the marriage counseling has been helping us communicate better. He's been coming to my prenatal appointments whenever possible, and seeing his face light up during the ultrasounds reminds me why I fell in love with him in the first place. As for Ava, there's been progress, though it hasn't been a straight line. Her therapy sessions seem to be helping, but we've had some challenging moments. During one of our family activities at the park, she had a complete meltdown when another child asked if she was excited about her new sibling. She screamed that she didn't want a brother or sister and ran off, causing my husband to panic until we found her hiding behind a tree. The parenting classes have been eye-opening for both of us. My husband finally understands that setting boundaries isn't the same as being mean, and I've learned more about what Ava might be going through emotionally. The instructor explained how children who've experienced abandonment often act out because they're terrified of being left again. It doesn't excuse her behavior, but it helps me approach her with more patience. Last week, something unexpected happened. I was sitting on the couch during one of my visits home, and Ava quietly sat next to me with a book. Without saying anything, she leaned against my arm and started reading. My husband nearly dropped the plate he was carrying when he walked in and saw us. It was a small moment, but it felt like a breakthrough. We've had some news about the rent-a-womb situation. She finally called after nearly 2 months of silence, not to check on Ava, but to ask if we could watch her for a bit longer as her new relationship wasn't working out. My husband recorded the call and immediately contacted our lawyer. We're now moving forward with seeking full custody, and our lawyer seems confident given her documented abandonment. The most surprising development came yesterday. Ava's teacher called my husband to tell him that Ava had drawn a picture of our family during art class. In the picture, there was my husband, Ava, me with a big round belly, and a tiny figure that she labeled baby. When the teacher asked about it, Ava said, "That's my little brother or sister. I'm going to be a big sister." She hadn't shown this side to us yet, so hearing it from her teacher left me in tears. We've started preparing Ava's room in our house to be more permanent, and set up the nursery next door. My husband suggested that Ava help pick out some decorations for the baby's room, and to our surprise, she seemed interested. She picked out a mobile with little stars and moons that actually matches the nursery theme perfectly. I'm planning to move back home next week, before Peanut arrives. I'm nervous, but also hopeful. The time apart has given everyone space to adjust, and the therapy seems to be working. I know there will still be challenges ahead. Ava still has moments where she lashes out, especially when she's tired or feels ignored, but we're better equipped to handle them now. My husband has stepped up in ways I didn't expect. He's finally finding the balance between being loving and setting necessary boundaries. Last week, Ava refused to clean up her toys and threw one at him when he insisted. Instead of backing down, he calmly took away her tablet privileges for the day and stood firm when she threw a tantrum. By the evening, she had apologized and cleaned up without being asked again. I don't know what will happen when Peanut actually arrives. I'm sure there will be jealousy and adjustment issues. But for the first time since Ava showed up on our doorstep, I feel like we might actually make it as a family. Not perfect, probably not even close to normal, but ours. Update 4. It's been almost a year since Peanut arrived, and what a whirlwind it's been. Our son, whom we named Oliver, is now 9 months old and has completely transformed our family dynamic in ways I never could have predicted. I moved back home about a week before my due date, nervous but hopeful. The labor was long but relatively uncomplicated, and seeing my husband's face when he first held Oliver is something I'll never forget. What surprised me most, though, was Ava's reaction when she first met her baby brother. After all our preparation and therapy, I expected some jealousy or even hostility. Instead, when my husband brought her to the hospital, she approached the bassinet cautiously, peered in at Oliver, and whispered, "He's so tiny." She asked if she could touch his hand, and when his little fingers wrapped around hers, I saw something change in her eyes. That's not to say it's been smooth sailing. We've had plenty of challenging moments. About 2 months after Oliver was born, Ava went through a regression phase where she started wetting the bed and throwing tantrums again. Her therapist explained this was normal, the reality of having a baby in the house was finally sinking in, and she was testing to see if we'd still care for her when she acted like a baby too. The custody situation has finally been resolved. After months of legal proceedings and not a single attempt from Rent-A-Womb to contact Ava, the judge granted us full custody. When we told Ava, she just shrugged and said, "I already live here anyway." Her indifference broke my heart a little, but her therapist assured us it was her way of protecting herself. Ava has developed an unexpected talent for making Oliver laugh. She'll make silly faces or dance around, and he'll erupt in giggles that fill the whole house. There are moments when I catch her reading to him or showing him her toys, explaining how they work with all the seriousness of a professor. These glimpses of the big sister she's becoming make all the difficult times worthwhile. We've established a new family tradition of special time where each parent spends one-on-one time with each child. My husband takes Ava swimming on Saturday mornings, and I take her for ice cream and bookstore visits on Sunday afternoons. She's slowly opening up to me during these outings, asking questions about what I was like as a kid or telling me about something that happened at school. Last month, she had a school project about family trees. I was helping her with it when she suddenly asked, "Can I put you as my mom?" I told her she could put both me and her biological mother if she wanted. She thought about it for a minute, then said, "I don't remember her much anymore. I want to put you." I had to excuse myself to the bathroom so she wouldn't see me cry. The parenting classes have been invaluable. We've learned techniques for handling tantrums, setting consistent boundaries, and helping siblings bond. My husband is no longer the flaccid doormat I once described. He's found his voice as a father, firm but loving, and Ava respects him for it. There have been setbacks, of course. Ava still has days where she lashes out or says hurtful things. Last week, after I had to discipline her for pushing another child at the playground, she screamed that she hated me and wished her real mom would come back. It stung, but instead of reacting emotionally, I calmly told her that I understood she was angry, but that kind of behavior wasn't acceptable. Later that night, she slipped a crudely drawn sorry card under my bedroom door. Oliver is crawling now, which means Ava has had to learn to keep small toys off the floor and close doors she wants to keep him out of. She's surprisingly protective of her little brother around other children, proudly introducing him as my baby to anyone who'll listen. My relationship with my husband has deepened through all of this. The counseling helped us develop better communication skills, and we've made a point to have regular date nights, even if it's just watching a movie on the couch after the kids are asleep. Last week, he surprised me by arranging for my parents to watch the children overnight so we could have our first full night away since Oliver was born. As for me, I've found a strange new confidence in motherhood. I'm not perfect, far from it, but I've discovered reserves of patience and creativity I never knew I had. I've also learned that it's okay to ask for help when I need it, whether from my husband, my parents, or the therapist we still see occasionally. Sometimes I think back to that desperate woman who wrote the first post, so full of anger and fear. I barely recognize her now. This family we've built isn't what I imagined when I first got pregnant, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's messy and complicated and exhausting, but it's ours. Last night, I was putting Oliver to bed when Ava appeared in the doorway in her pajamas. Without a word, she climbed onto the rocking chair with us and leaned her head against my shoulder as I sang Oliver's lullaby. As both children drifted off to sleep, I realized that somewhere along this chaotic journey, we had become a family, not perfect, but real. Update 5. It's hard to believe that Oliver just turned 2 last month. The chubby-cheeked toddler running around our house bears little resemblance to the tiny newborn who changed our lives so completely. And Ava? She's now 10 and in the 4th grade, growing taller by the day and developing quite the personality. Life has settled into a rhythm I never thought possible when I wrote that first desperate post nearly 3 years ago. Our home feels like a real family home now, chaotic and messy at times, but filled with more laughter than tears these days. Ava has continued with her therapy, though we've reduced it to twice a month rather than weekly. Her therapist says she's made remarkable progress in processing her feelings of abandonment and learning to trust that we're not going to leave her. The nightmares she used to have about her biological mother have become less frequent, and she started referring to our house as home rather than Dad's house. We finally received the last piece of paperwork finalizing our full legal custody of Ava 3 months ago. Rent-A-Womb made a brief reappearance last year, calling out of the blue to say she wanted to reconnect with Ava. My husband recorded the call, as advised by our lawyer, and it became clear she was only interested because her latest relationship had ended and she needed somewhere to stay. When my husband explained that we had moved forward with full custody proceedings, she didn't even contest it. Ava didn't ask about the call, and we decided not to mention it unless she brought it up. Oliver adores his big sister. He follows her around the house like a shadow, trying to copy everything she does. For her part, Ava has embraced her role as big sister with surprising enthusiasm. She reads him stories, helps him build block towers, and even volunteered to help with potty training, though we limited her involvement to cheering him on. Last week, when Oliver fell at the playground and scraped his knee, it was Ava who reached him first, wiping his tears and telling him it would be okay. That's not to say we don't still have challenges. Ava can be moody and difficult, especially when she's tired or feeling overlooked. She went through a phase of stealing small items from my purse or the kitchen drawers, nothing valuable, just random things like hair ties or measuring spoons. Her therapist explained it was a way of maintaining control and feeling secure that she'd have her things if she needed to leave suddenly. We addressed it by giving her a special box for her treasures and making sure she knows she always has access to what she needs. My relationship with Ava has transformed completely. The girl who once kicked and hit my pregnant belly now comes to me for help with her homework or advice about friend drama at school. Last month, she asked if I would take her shopping for a dress for the school dance. As we browsed through racks of sparkly dresses, she casually mentioned that her friend Zoe had asked if I was her real mom. She told me she had answered, "She's my stepmom, but she's real." I had to pretend I needed to find a different size to hide my tears. My husband has found his footing as a father to both children. He's no longer the flaccid doormat I once described, but a parent who balances love with firm boundaries. When Ava tested those boundaries last summer by sneaking out to the backyard after bedtime, he calmly explained why her behavior was dangerous and restricted her screen time for a week. She was angry at first but eventually acknowledged that she understood why he was upset. The parenting classes we took have proven invaluable. We've learned techniques for de-escalating tantrums. Oliver is in his no phase, fostering healthy sibling relationships, and maintaining consistency between us. We still occasionally disagree on parenting approaches, but we've learned to discuss these differences in private rather than undermining each other in front of the kids. Oliver is a ball of energy who loves trucks, dinosaurs, and anything his sister is doing. He's talking up a storm now, with Ava being one of his first and most frequently used words. He has my husband's eyes and smile, but my stubbornness, a combination that's both endearing and exhausting. As for me, I've returned to work part-time, which has been good for my mental health. I love my children fiercely, but I've learned that I'm a better mother when I have some time to pursue my own interests as well. My husband has been supportive of this decision, stepping up to handle more of the childcare responsibilities on my work days. We still have family therapy once a month, which helps us navigate new challenges as they arise. Recently, we've been discussing how to handle Ava's growing curiosity about her biological mother. We've decided to be honest with her in an age-appropriate way, neither demonizing her mother nor making excuses for her behavior. Last night, as I was tucking Ava into bed, she asked me if I ever regretted marrying her dad and taking her in. The question caught me off guard, but I told her truthfully that while there were difficult days, I had never regretted becoming part of her life. She thought about this for a moment, then said, "I'm glad you stayed, even when I was mean." I hugged her and told her that's what family does, we stay, even through the hard parts. Looking back at that angry, frightened woman who wrote the first post, I barely recognize myself. The journey hasn't been easy, and I know we'll face new challenges as the children grow. But we've built something real and lasting here, a family bonded not just by blood or marriage, but by the choice we make every day to love each other through the mess and beauty of life together.